How's it going, everybody? Welcome to vlog 102. That's right, 102. Whew. Just keep going, don't I? Excuse me. I am Jaime, the shut-in cartoonist and musician, sorry. And here I'm vlogcasting, of course, from the Tortilla Press World Headquarters, which is located on an island which is floating in the San Francisco Bay. Excuse me. I'm going to put this down. First cup of coffee. It's about 7 in the morning. Cafe Domingo in there, by the way. I finally found some whole bean. Okay, we're going to talk about music today. I was recently asked, I tend to hold up CDs a lot, and they asked, A, you still listen to CDs, and B, what about vinyl and other things, other forms, mediums of music? And the answer to that is no, I don't listen to CDs. The only way I can listen to them is if I'm in my truck. It's the only thing I own that has a CD player, and I'm in that rarely anymore in my truck, and I never bring CDs in there because I have, an iPod, and I also have a phone. But I use an iPod. Here it is in its cover. I will take it out. I believe it's 120, yeah, it is 120 gigs, one of these. And I have the CDs because I load them into my computer, which I then load into the iPod. And I like it better than Spotify or whatnot because it's I can make my own playlist. It transitions cleaner. They don't overlap, and I also have obscure stuff that Spotify doesn't have. So I have more control. I'm sure it's a control issue too. But the battery's almost dead in it. And I see there's batteries replacements online, and there's a computer dude around the corner. I'm going to ask him if I buy a battery, if I can pay him to put it in for me. And how do I listen to those? I do have earbuds, but I use one of these. I use a Bose Mini, what do they call it? A Bose Mini SoundLink Mini. And I also Bluetooth it to my phone so I can listen to a podcast and Spotify, as well as I have this little cord, just a little one that plugs into the side of this that I plug the iPod into. And it gets loud, and it's got really good bottom end. It used to sit in my kitchen when I lived in Fairfax in the cottage. I had this little corner shelving unit up in the corner. It was really kind of weird. I kept my salt and pepper on there. And this was on the top. And in the kitchen, I make breakfast in the morning doing dishes. And I could either listen to the news, or then I got a Tivoli radio, so I use that a lot for Giants games, but I would listen to music while I was making meals and stuff. Sorry, this is shaking. It's on a stand, and I'm setting things on the side. So that kind of hopefully explains it. And yes, I still have a lot of vinyl. I've been collecting music since I was a kid, and I love music. As you all know, I play instruments, but I also love genres. I call it world music, but I loved learning about music from Mali or from Central India or Central Mexico or China or whatever. I'm just into it. And so I have a lot of vinyl. It's all in my storage unit. I don't even have a turntable or stereo anymore. But I planned on, when I was going to move to New Mexico, one of my big plans one of the houses I was looking at was 3-bedroom. And the third bedroom, the smallest one, I was actually going to buy a stereo, set it up, put all my music instruments, all my vinyl, all my CDs, and have it in the center of the room and get a nice chair. And that was going to be my music room. That was what I was going to do. But I didn't. Anyway, what we're going to talk about, today, while I drop stuff, on the floor, is I'm going to talk about Adrian Belew. Those of you that don't know who Adrian Belew is, he is a guitarist. I believe he's originally from Kentucky. And Adrian first got his break back in the late 70s with Frank Zappa. The only Frank Zappa show I ever saw was in 78, 79, somewhere in there, at the Sacramento Memorial Auditorium. Probably to this day, pound for pound, one of the best concerts I'd ever seen. And I mean that by who the audience was, how the concert was run, how the whole back and forth between audience and artist went. It was amazing to me. First off, I was used to going to a lot of R&B concerts, tons. Lots of black and brown people at the shows I was used to going to. My very first concert was Santana and Tower of Power opened, and that's why I went to see Tower of Power. Though I love Carlos too, don't get it wrong. But I'd see Earth, Wind, and Fire, and Shalimar, and all those bands, and I saw P-Funk, Funkadelic, and Parliament. But here I'm going to a rock show, and being a jazz fan too, because Frank has all these elements. He had all these elements of jazz and classical in his music, besides just rock and soul and everything else. And my point is when I went into the show, I noticed the audience, the makeup of the audience. It felt like the UN. There's all sorts of different people, different backgrounds, and different ages, men, women. It was just, and everybody was kind of cool. It was weird in the sense of, like, I've been to a couple Dead shows, but not as stanky, groovy like those guys. These were, just like Hawaiian shirts and goofy. Like, you could see, like, I remember I got a Residence shirt. It's just, and everybody's laughing and having a great time. And yeah, I did a little of this, and it was. But anyway, Adrian Belew was there. He was in the band, and Terry Bozzio on drums. He's a whole nother animal. And San Anselmo guy. He's a Sir Francis Drake graduate. That's class of '69. Interestingly enough, the last touring band of Frank Zappa, the bassist Scott Tunis, who used to come into my record store, who's my age, he was also a Drake graduate, the class of '79. So something about the water there in San Anselmo in that time, and San Anselmo, Fairfax. But anyway, so Adrian played with Frank, and then he went off to play with David Bowie and toured with him. And then I'm kind of messing up here. I can't remember how it went, but before he knew it, he was in the revitalized version of King Crimson with Robert Fripp, and of course Bill Bruford on drums and Tony Levin on bass and the Chapman Stick. What a group. And then Adrian, I've seen them twice. And then Adrian went out on his own, did his own solo album, which was called Lone Rhino. And of course I bought that on vinyl right away. Had to, and I loved it. And down the line, once I got a record shop, maybe just before I got my record shop, they were re-releasing his stuff on CD. And this is back when you still listen to CDs. And they released his first 2 albums on one CD. And that would be this one right here. And that, of course, is Lone Rhino. And then the Twang Bar King. Twang Bar King. Really excellent. There's Adrian right there. Back in the day with that Strat. It's I believe it's a late '60s Strat that he's was his prized possession. He still owns it, but he plays other guitars now. I have my Strat, that's my prize. But he put it, taken apart, put it back together. Mine I put together out of parts that I had when I worked in the industry, way back in my 20s, early 20s. And this album's great. Double album. And then I was surprised to find out a few years later, the remastered in high definition, it says the following 3rd and 4th album also, which is Mr. Music Head and Inner Revolution. And I did buy his collection, Salad Days, and Acoustic Belew too, which he covers a lot of songs off both these albums. So anyway, do yourself a favor, Adrian Belew. Go out there and get him. He was pioneering sound effects on guitars, synth guitar, but he was a little more organic with it. A total Jimi Hendrix fan too. That's where him and I also connect, Stratocasters and Jimi Hendrix. And when I saw him with Frank Zappa too, he did, I remember Frank said something to the effect, they were in the middle of a song, goes, "Hey Adrian, do your Jimmy thing," and he just, dive bomb and all the feedback, but not hokey. I mean, if you closed your eyes, like, whoa, Jimmy's here, it was awesome. And this is like 1970. I was still going to high school then. I was going to talk about Ray Charles today. And I was then going to save it for another day, but I'll do a quick one on that because I brought this one I had laying over there in the box, the Ultimate Collection. It's a 3 CD set, excuse me, and there's 3 of them in here. Let me fold it out there for you. But Ray, who is a musical genius and also a huge influence on me, was big in my house growing up with my grandfather, my step-grandfather and step-grandmother in Oak Park. They were absolute Ray devotees. They saw him 2 or 3 times. And one of the last shows they went together in their shows, but they were shows in their day. They went up to Lake Tahoe to see Lou Rawls. Lou Rawls. No, I'm laughing because I love it. I just remember my grandfather picking out suits, had a press suit. put it in his garment bag. My step grandma had all her stuff together. He washed the car. He had me help him and wax it. I mean, they were going for a weekend to go see Lou Rawls, and that's what they did when they go see Ray Charles and other people. They love Ray. And for those who don't know my history, my step grandparents, my step grandfather. Not that it matters, but this is he was a black man from Louisiana, and he helped raise me. My step grandmother was a black woman and a singer, former singer from Chicago. She actually said she got to sit in substitute a handful of times in the Billy Eckstine band for Billy Eckstine. She was amazing, Grandma Nancy. So yeah, big influence on me. So yeah, we had Ray, Brother Ray, Nat King Cole, and the trio and the singing Nat King Cole. The Mills Brothers, the Ink Spots, and I'm trying to think there was at least one more that were considered giants in the household. But Brother Ray, man, Ray Charles is, if you never really got into him, do it. Get into him now. It's never too late. And it was so sad when he died. I owned my record shop when he died, and I did a big display in the window in memory of him. Okay, this is probably my longest one yet. This is 11 minutes, over 11 minutes. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Hopefully, you don't have to necessarily learn something. Just hopefully I turned you on to something, or at least filled up 11 minutes of your day during the pandemic shit show and all the social unrest that's going on, that you can at least think about other things. But you have to get back to it at one point, and that's what I'm going to do right now. More coffee. It's still, I started this at 7 o'clock this morning. So have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful week. Make sure if you go outside, mask up. Wash your hands, stay the hell away from everybody, but most importantly, just be kind to yourself and be kind to others. And thank you again for listening. Don't forget to subscribe below, and I'll throw my website down there too, in case you want to go look at stuff. Okay, everybody, thanks a lot. See you next time.